Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Just got back from a gig and I was thinking about something and I wanted to make a video about it before I forgot. So, every once in a while in our lives, we experience these events that are so painful or traumatic or devastating that we're not entirely sure if we can make it through to the other side. And I know from experience that, you and I can get through anything. However, in the moment, sometimes the pain is so acute that we might not believe that truth seems to be lost on us. And I certainly didn't always believe that I'd be able to make it through these events, but I want to share a story from my past that was really profound. And so it's like 11 and a half years ago now. It seems like yesterday sometimes, but I was devastated, by a relationship. My heart was broken, and this woman decided rightly that it wasn't a good time for her to be dating anybody. And I was like head over heels. And so it was pretty devastating to kind of break it off when it just started. And so I was doing my best to kind of like get through it, not doing a very good job. And I forget how long it had been since she had called it off. But one night, she texts me. And she texts me something like, quit playing cards and entertain me. Well, so I answered the most intelligent thing I could say, which was, what? And she said, oh, never mind. I meant to text this other guy, so-and-so. And I knew who the guy was. And he was kind of a jerk. And so I didn't say anything, other than like, oh, okay. And I talked to a mutual friend of ours, this other female friend, still a great friend of mine. And she said, oh, that was a girl move. She was just trying to gauge your interest. I didn't pick up on that. A girl move, really? Is that really what happened? But at the time, this is not something that occurred to me. What occurred to me was that she had rejected me, and even though she'd said that she really shouldn't be dating anybody, she clearly was interested in this other person who was kind of a jerk. And I was still head over heels at the time. And Susan, if you're watching this, don't worry, it was a long time ago. I've been over it for a long, long time. But it was painful. So there I am, curled up in the fetal position, crying to myself and, just feeling like my world had ended. You know how that happens sometimes, especially, new relationship, all those kind of things. And for the first time in my life, I had this assurance. The thought came to me, I'll be okay. I can make it through this. It'll be all right. I'll be all right. And I never had that kind of assurance before. And I was 2 years in recovery. So I'd already had experienced other events that were traumatic and had made it through to the other side. And I, had just started to realize, that I could make it through anything. And this certainly wasn't the most traumatic event of my life. This prepared me for other ones. But it was really kind of remarkable in that moment when I realized, you know what? I'll be okay. What this did not do was make the pain of that moment any less. I wish it did. It didn't. There wasn't anything magical about it. And it also did not accelerate the process of healing from that and, not feeling so much pain over that event. But, at least I had this assurance, or this realization that I was going to be okay, that I could make it through anything. And that was really, really profound. And I've always held that very close to my heart since then. And it's helped me through other events which were far more traumatic, like losing a partner to cancer, and which was devastating in its own right. But even now I have those moments where I feel like things are hopeless, where there's some situations in my life which just feel very painful or traumatic or overwhelming. And I have to, look back at those moments and realize that I've built up this body of evidence that I'll be okay no matter what. Even if things go to hell, I'll still be okay. The external circumstances may not be exactly the way I want them to be, but I know I'll be all right. And so if you're struggling with things like that, if you're struggling in those or having one of those moments where there's some acute pain, or some kind of trauma that you're going through, understand that you'll be okay. Maybe you don't believe it, but I believe it because I've experienced similar things. That's not belittling your pain or making light of it because, like in my case, the pain didn't get any less for a long time. But now, that event doesn't bother me. And there's other events that, while still traumatic and still sad, from my past since then, they bother me sometimes, but They haven't ruined my life. They haven't dictated the course of my life. Or, I'm not stuck in those traumas and that sorrow. I've been able to move on. You can move on too. Know what I mean? Have a good one, kids.